If any of these words are triggers for you, please do not continue watching this video due to the fact that I do not want to cause any undue stress or anxiety to the viewer. Physical abuse, psychological abuse, verbal abuse, and sexual abuse coming from a parent or a parental figure. Hey everyone, so a new year is upon us, and I thought that I would start off the new year by doing a book review. So today I'm here to review The Boy Who Sneaks in My Bedroom Window by Kirsty Moseley. Funny story, the majority of this book was read outside of the house, either in public places or when I would go into work to work a night shift, and people would give me the dirtiest looks when they would read the title of this book. Why do people have to judge so much? It wasn't what you thought it was, people. It wasn't what you thought it was. So the story follows Amber and her brother Jake. They have grown up in a household with their mom, their dad, and each other, and growing up, their dad was very abusive to all of them. He was very verbally abusive as well as physically, but the person that took the most brunt of the physical abuse was Jake. He would end up walking away with broken bones or issues where he wasn't able to eat, or it would bother him to move because of how hurt he would be physically. But on the other hand, Amber also took a lot of this because once a week she would be left at home with her dad, Steven, and he would sexually abuse her. Now, one thing I want to state is the story at the start gives all this backstory. The majority of the story takes place in present day, where Amber is 16 and Jake is 17. The dad is no longer in the picture. The mom actually is in the picture, but the author explains that she has a job where she's away most of the time and she's back for a few days. I think every 2 weeks she comes back for a few days. But another very important key member of this book is Liam, the boy next door. And Liam is friends with James. They've been friends since I think they were 8 or 9 years old. And he was friends during the time that the kids were being abused. And one day he ends up going and sneaking through Amber's bedroom window to comfort her because she is crying, and she ends up falling asleep. And Liam is too tired to leave the room and go back across the yard into his, and he ends up falling asleep as well. And it kind of just starts this cycle of Liam just spends the night. She's able to sleep without nightmares. During the night, Liam is the sweet, comforting boy next door, but during the day, he is a flirtatious womanizer who likes to tease Amber, and Amber can't stand him. So I would like to just state up front that I did not enjoy this book. I had a very hard time with it, and it had nothing to do with the actual topics that were involved in the story. It had to do mainly with the characters and the writing. I did want to mention that I did enjoy the fact that the author gave information as to why the mother was not in the picture as much as she should have been, because do you know what? Most young adult novels, there is no parent involved in the actual overall story arc of a young adult novel. So the author kind of gave an explanation as to why she wasn't going to include her in the story. And because of it, when the mom actually did come into the picture, I found that I had a very hard time with it. I didn't really enjoy seeing the mom's interactions because it just felt so disjointed. So the first thing I wanted to cover is the writing. I felt that the pacing was off. It felt at times that insignificant parts of the story were actually very fleshed out and well written and took up a lot of the story, whereas the parts that actually mattered and, needed explanation or should have been further fleshed out, those were just rushed through and just sloppily covered, I found. Whereas there was also the fact that I kind of wanted to see some more develop with things. I kind of was hoping that there would be a little bit more explanation of the actual abuse that took place, whereas she kind of just skimmed over it and was kind of like, it didn't really matter was how it came across. And I really struggled with that because I felt like it was such a key part of the story. The other thing with the writing is I found at times that the writing felt very forced. It felt as if the author had key things that she wanted to take place in the story or talk about or have written, or a character trait, and it didn't mesh with how the story was going and unfurling, and all of a sudden it's there and it kind of caught you off guard because it didn't fit. It was just the author wanted it there and put it there, and it felt very forced. The one that hit me a lot was when Liam would refer to Amber as Angel, or my girl. Even in his conscious thoughts that weren't verbalized, he would refer the same way. Every now and then he would call her Amber, but it just seemed too strange. It didn't seem like a character trait that Liam had, especially since by the end of the book, I bet you it took place the majority of the book in under 3 weeks, which seemed really strange. So again, that's another thing I wanted to discuss with regards to the pacing. The story takes place in a short amount of time. And, you know, one thing with it was Amber and Liam, one of the, the pacing issues, they're together a week before they decide to take their relationship to the next level. I know that they have known each other most of their life, but still, it just seemed like it almost became this insignificant thing where it was this huge deal the whole way along, and then all of a sudden it's like, nope, doesn't matter, we're gonna do it now. I don't know, it just, as I said, it felt really off with the pacing. So as I mentioned, there are two things that bothered me with this story. One being the writing, the second being the characters. I found that I just didn't connect with the characters like I hoped I would, because everybody knows that a good novel and a good character you're able to relate to on some note. No matter how they're written, what they've gone through, I find that a good book, I can connect with something. I can connect with a relationship they have with their sibling or a boyfriend or a friend. I can connect with something that they enjoy, some of their hobbies, something in general. Unfortunately, with this story, I wasn't able to connect with anything. But I also had a hard time because our main character, Amber, is the one that we get the majority of the story from. And the main reason why I had a hard time connecting with her is because I felt that she also abused her brother. Now let me state why before you go crazy, please. The reason why I state that is because Amber knows that when her brother gets hot-headed or he's angered about something or something's going on where he's bothered or he's not thinking rationally, she knows that if she's upset or if she gets upset or she makes him think she's upset, then he'll calm down right away and he'll either come to her or he'll, relax, or he'll figure out a way to help her. That is still, in my mind, a form of psychological abuse. And I found that Amber did that with both Jake and Liam a number of times in the story. And I just struggled with that so much, especially because, as characters that have gone through some form of abuse, for her to be doing this, it bothered me because it was yet another form of abuse that is being condoned in a way. And it's almost like she doesn't have any regret towards that until she stops listening to somebody and ends up having an issue near the end of the book that puts her in the hospital. I just wanted to mention that these are my thoughts personally. I don't have to like every single book I read. I wish I did, but that sometimes doesn't happen. But I'm also one of those people that loves to hear other people's thoughts on books. So if you have a different perception of this, maybe if you've interpreted things a little bit different from how I have, please let me know in the comments below. If you're going to talk about anything to do with the book where it could be considered a spoiler, please just start your comment by saying spoilers. And I will do the same if I'm answering with some spoilers in the discussion, just so then those that don't want to be spoiled don't accidentally read a comment that has spoilers in it. Now, for those of you who haven't read the book, please do not continue to this next part. I have one thing that I want to discuss, and I am going to talk a little bit about it in depth, and it's going to be a bit of a spoiler. So please do not continue on if you don't want to be spoiled. It has to do with when she goes to the house with Johnny, her half-brother, or no, her stepbrother. I think his name's Johnny. And he goes to the shower. His stepdad, Stephen, her dad, and his mom and their half-sibling weren't to be home till later that night. Ends up happening, they come home because the baby, Maddie, is sick. And she can hear Stephen talking, and she kind of has a bit of a freak out, but she's like, okay, I need to think, not get to the stage where I'm just panicked and I can't rationalize anything. So she's like, okay, I've got my phone, I'm going to call somebody. She's like, oh, who am I going to call? And in my mind, I'm like, okay, Johnny's in the shower, you're going to call Liam, or you're going to call Jake. Do you know what she does? She's like, oh, I can't call Johnny because he's in the shower. I'm like, yep, knew that was coming. She's like, but I can't call Liam. And then she's like, and I can't call Jake because, like, he's too far away and they won't get here in time. Who cares if they're going to get there in time? Call somebody. Please, just call somebody. And then she puts her phone away. She's like, I'm just going to leave out this back door. And she goes to grab the handle and she's like, oh no, it's locked. This scene makes me so mad because, I'm sorry, in North America, I'm not sure because I haven't been to any other country other than, you know, stuff in North America, but we have locks to unlock the door on the inside of the door. I'm not sure about in other countries. I'm assuming that they're the same. Y'all lock your doors, right? I'm assuming that. Why didn't she unlock the door? If she's still thinking rationally, why didn't she unlock the door? Now, trust me, I know, like, you know what, you get in these situations and your mind kind of blanks on you. I understand that that happens, but this just seemed so silly. It seemed so silly, guys. This scene made me so angered. So angered. I wasn't just angry, I was angered. Because it just didn't work for me, okay? It just didn't work for me. So that is the end of the spoiler section. That's all I wanted to talk about because that scene made me angry. Legitimately angry. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you guys have had a great start to the new year, and I will see you in next week's video. Until then, have a wonderfully smiley day. Bye!